Hey, welcome to Barbershop Talk on the second channel. Name is Philip Jones.
Hey, my name is Tafaro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach people with stage 3 to stage 5 kidney disease. If you or you know someone who has kidney disease challenges and needs some help, hit us up at kidneycarecoaches.com. Today, Phil and I, we've been really, talking about, what's going on in the world and everything. And we also been talking about men's health, and that's a big thing to us. He and I are both black males, and we are men, and as you can see, good looking men too, for that. But um, we've been talking, and we've been seeing almost epidemic proportions of men not taking care of themselves, not having a place to voice their opinions on their health, and not having that area where like kind of like a comfort zone to talk about what's going on with their health. A lot of times we have a tendency to hold things in and not say nothing about our health. Well, we can talk to ladies, and ladies go to the doctor all the time. Maybe because since they are ladies, they have to go to gynecologists and things like that, so they're much more comfortable at an early age. Where when we were younger, the only time I ever seen a doctor before I got a kidney scare was either I go into the dentist or getting a physical to play sports. That was the only time, and that was probably once or twice a year, and that was it. While younger girls, they get accustomed to going to the doctor more often, and that's why women have no problem going to a doctor. And from my age, I'm seeing a lot of people even younger than me having problems with their health, and these things could have been, if these things were talked about or looked at earlier, they could have been prevented. But since we see this in men not going to the doctor, these things escalate and become big problems, and it could have been smaller problems. And so Phil and I seen that, and I came to Phil, and Phil looked at it. Phil sees it also, and we was like, man, let's make a little let's have a talk where we can have men come on the show, or and we just address men's health. We start talking about the overall epidemic of what's going on with the men in our country and stuff like that, about what's going on with their health, and give them a safe place to talk about what's going on with their health, whether it's an injury, whether it's something chronic, acute. It could be anything. It could be a skin tag. It could be a skin problem. It could be anything. But we need to as men voice our challenges with our health. What's your thoughts, Phil?
No, I definitely 100% agree. Like you said, women at a younger age, they get accustomed to going to the doctor early, because they have women problems that to make sure that are together and, in place. Like for men, it's not, it's just, if you don't play sports, you're not going to the doctor at all, really. And that's just for cough physical,
That's it.
and I think that needs to change in this world. Men need to start taking responsibility and going to the doctor, getting these checkups, and we're not just talking about cough left, cough. We talking about blood tests, X-rays,
Yes.
all the whole nurse, man. Y'all need to make sure that you're in the right place to be able to live a long life, instead of getting to the age of 50 or 60. And now you got to deal with heart problems, or you got kidney problems, or you got liver problems, and things of that nature. Even if you do have those problems, if you went to the doctor, you probably could have caught it in time to at least slow the progression down.
Right.
Some issues can be reversed, but they can be the progression can be slowed down. So, you know,
I think also what
but
you make a great point, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Were you still talking? Go ahead.
no, I was done.
Okay. I think you make a
No, I was
great
done. I
point
was
with
done.
that. Okay. I think you make a great point with that because the simple fact, there are some things that can't be prevented, but even those things that can't be prevented, you still can get them addressed early. You know what I'm saying? And then start taking, matters into your hand and stay and get some control back. Because the challenge we see is when something is escalated so far that once you start addressing it, once the doctors start, getting on top of it, they got to be so aggressive. And when they got to be aggressive with anything like that, like say for instance, prostate cancer. If prostate cancer was caught in the first two stages, the doctors don't have to be so aggressive. But if it's caught in the third and fourth, man, they got to go to bat just to save your life because prostate cancer does not have to kill you. But again, if you go get your PSA done earlier, you won't have those problems where they have to be aggressive. And when they got to be aggressive, your life's going to change. I'm just telling you right now, your life's going to change, and it might not change for the good. So therefore, I see a lot of men feel they, they're apprehensive as I don't know what to go to the doctor. It's almost to the point where they rather not know. Like I'd rather not know. I just rather just fall over. Like, come on, man. Let's
Right.
and we gotta debunk that BS. And that's the problem right there. When it comes to men, we're like, I'd rather not know. But that's not cutting it anymore. We're not letting that fly anymore because we die faster than women in the first place, because of the stress and
Right.
things like that. And we tend to hold our challenges in to our heart. We don't have a friend or somebody else we can talk to because men, we're taught to, be strong and tough. So we got to keep everything in. We don't, voice our opinion on what's going on with us. And a lot of times I see a lot of men not wanting to talk about their health is because they think other men are going to look at them weak. They I don't want to look vulnerable. So therefore I don't talk about my health. But what's crazy is I will talk about my health because the majority of people I know what I went through and things like that. And a lot of guys get comfortable with talking to me about their health. I could be somewhere and they know who I am and stuff, and all of a sudden they start sharing with me what's going on because they feel comfortable. So we have to make a place where all men feel comfortable talking about their health and addressing what's going on with them in the physical matter. Because I don't think any man that gets to be 35, 36 years old or 40 for that matter and never had any challenges with their health. Now I'm not, I'm might be, I was playing football and I broke my ankle. I might have, had an injury playing basketball, something like that, a toothache, something. It doesn't have to be, catastrophic, but it's something. If you get to age 40, more than likely you done been through something. Would you agree with that, Phil?
Oh, most definitely. Something, and something can be anything,
Right.
broken finger,
Right.
anything, something that sent you to the hospital for something. So, but the one thing that I want to touch on is, man, you got to stop relying on your wives to set these appointments for you.
Oh my
You got
goodness.
to learn how to do
Yes.
these things on your own. You got to do these on your own. You grown man, you know. It's no more sitting back and just expecting, the wife or the girlfriend to set your appointments for you. You got to take initiative and do it and put yourself in a position to be able to live and thrive and have a uh, good,
Quality of life.
whether that's
You are
eating,
so right, man.
exercising.
Wow. You hit that one on the head, man.
So
If that ain't if that ain't the mother load right there, you feel that's 100. I'm a married man. I keep it real. I make my own appointments and things like that, and probably because I understand what's going on. But all my friends, their wives or somebody else is making their appointments to go, and they reluctantly go, and all because of the fear factor that the doctor might tell them something that they don't want to hear. But I feel that if you don't go, eventually the doctor is going to tell you something you don't want to hear. But if you go at an early stage, you're probably going to hear something you like to hear.
right, and go early enough, it won't be as you waited to go. You know, you go early enough, it's hey, you got stage one stage cancer as opposed to stage 2 or 3 or whatever, because you decided to sit back, relax, and wait to go to this appointment when you should have went 4 or 5 months ago. So
Yeah. So, Phil, let's address some things we're going to talk about on our barbershop talk. We're going to address some things, and we're going to go deep, man. And we like we like questions. We want men to participate in this, man, because this is going to be for you guys, man. We really want to open up the communication lines and talk about these things, man. So go ahead, Phil.
yeah, so if you're watching live, drop some questions in the comments, or even if you watching a replay, #replay, drop your questions in there. We'll come back to it and address it for you either in the chat or our next our show like today on Sunday that we normally have. Barbershop Talk will be on Wednesdays. We're doing this one more or less like a preview show. So it'll be either addressed on the next show or comments, but it will be addressed at some point. We're going to talk about heart disease, and I have a small little paragraph here that says heart disease is the biggest health issue for men, affecting 25% of all men, according to the CDC. It's the leading cause of death for both men and women, but men are twice as likely to die from a cardiovascular problem as women. The American Heart Association also states that men have a higher risk of heart attacks than women and have them earlier in life. Some of the risk factors for cardiovascular disease that can be prevented are leading an inactive lifestyle, a high fat diet, smoking, alcohol consumption, stress, and in some cases, high blood pressure. Now,
Right.
we touch on the physical side, multiple times, on our shows of your physical activity level and how you eat, which shows you right there what it can do for you and keep you out of the area of heart disease. And the thing is, you don't have to start big when it comes to physical activity. You ain't saying going in the gym and try to lift 300 pounds automatically. If you got to start just by walking around your backyard, then walking down the street, and then going to the gym on the trail, then slowly lightweight, lifting or whatever like that. It's is no problem with taking it slow. The whole thing is making sure that it gets done. So, and making sure that your eating habits are in the right area. Making sure you're eating your green vegetables, your different colored vegetables. Making sure you have a low salt diet as well. Me and Cook, that's pretty much our life is a low salt diet. Nothing
Mhm.
in our food has salt in it.
Yeah.
It's probably as bland as can be, but you know,
Right. You make a great point right there, man. The active lifestyle is huge, but I was a personal trainer for a number of years, and the active lifestyle is very important. And just like Phil addressed, you don't have to go in the gym killing it. You don't even have to go into the gym. You could do a home little exercise program, 10, 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, 2 or 3 times a week, and be okay. You could take the dog for a walk. You can go walk with your significant other, whatever it may be. But one of the biggest ones we see on here is a high fat diet. And when I was a trainer, I told a lot of my clients, you'd be surprised how better you look, not just exercising, but just eating right. Eating right is 75 to 80% of the whole ball game if you want to, lose fat, get in shape, whatever it may be. And the high fat diet, it coexists with the, smoking and drinking alcohol. All those things combined, that's like the triple threat. I call them the triple bypass because that's what it's going to give you. High fat, smoking, and alcohol are all going to give you a triple bypass. And that's the triple threat. That's why I call it that, because that's what it's going to lead to, where your heart is not going to be able to take it. And Not only that, again, what we talked about earlier is men's stress. Again, we hold a lot of things in. We might have a bad day at work, whatever may happen, but we'll come home and we won't get on the phone like our wives or our significant others. They be on the phone like, my boss got on my nerve, and they let it off. Well, we'll just hold it in. And sometimes, even the mental stress will make somebody go up there and snap. Like, man, my boss like something to me one more time, man. I'm gonna go off. And that's a killer too. That's a big one too that can cause a lot of problems in our health too, the mental health standpoint of it. So I agree with all those things, man. And I feel just like it says right here, men have more heart problems, heart disease than women. And another reason, because if you look at men are built, women tend to hold their fat in their hips. Men hold their fat in their belly. And when you hold the fat in your belly, it's closer to your heart. Anytime you got fat closer to your heart, that's going to cause much more challenges. And that could be a problem too. And not only that, again, we don't release the stress. We will release the stress in different ways. We'll just go have a drink, and hide those problems underneath alcohol, hide those problems under eating some fat foods or whatever it may be, and not addressing these things. And that could be a big problem also. I'm going to talk about another one right here, and that's cancer. And the majority of men, there's other forms of cancer, but the majority of men get prostate cancer. Again, when you get a certain age, you want to get your PSA done. Okay, that's your prostate test. You definitely want to get that. But this is one I'll read off to you. It says the CDC lists cancer as the second leading cause of death for men behind heart disease. Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer and can be avoided through using proper sun protection, and not using sun tanning beds. According to the American Cancer Society, earlier detection and treatment are highly successful for skin cancer. They also report that all cancer caused by smoking and alcohol can be can be prevented. Plus, about one third of all of the over about one third of the over 562,000 cancer deaths expected to occur this year will be due to overweight, obesity, physical inactivity, and poor nutrition, all which can be prevented. Now, these things can be prevented. Just what Phil said earlier. Phil said, having, some exercise, watching your diet, watching alcohol. We're not party poopers. We're not telling you not to have a little alcohol if you like or something like that, but let's keep that in moderation. If you want to smoke, hey, smoke in moderation, all these things. But they just said right here, a study, it said one third of the 562,000 cancer deaths expected can be prevented. That's big, man. That means you're in control. That's letting you know right there you're in control with your health. What's your thoughts on that, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think but it's about taking control early instead of later.
Yes.
You got to make that move a lot sooner than later. Changing your diet, getting active physically. If get on the diet, or in the gym, start walking, do something that down and get out of that obesity range. Because like you said, that main reasons why people get men getting cancer is because of physical inactivity and poor nutrition. You're overweight. You stop eating those fatty foods, and I'm not. You can't have no salt or
Right.
anything like that. You can't have no flavor. We're not saying that. We're just saying like Cook said earlier, the word to use moderation. You know, if you cook something, taste it. Don't just add salt to it just because you think you need to add salt to it.
Right.
Find out because you might have seasoned something, the originally, and it came out just how you like it. Then you
Right.
add now it's too much salt,
Right.
and then you still gonna eat it. But know, that's just all it is taking the right steps, going in there and um, making sure you make choices in your life. So but like we can't stress this enough with the physical activity and nutrition. You know, get active. It takes nothing to go in your backyard, or if you have stairs, might live in an apartment, up and down the stairs.
Yep.
Again, like you said, we ain't saying you got to go hard in the gym, trying to bang three on your first try, nothing like that. But if you want to start off in the gym, start slow on the treadmill. Stair climber. But definitely one thing that I do notice that these gyms now are tads, and so like you said, stay away from those. Even though some people recommend them, maybe relaxing and things of that nature, stay away from them.
Well,
If you
the biggest
know
thing
that
I
you
can
have a
say, go ahead.
no, go ahead,
Go ahead.
you good.
I was gonna say, I ain't hating on no man tanning if that's what you want to do, and that's fine. But if you are out in the sun, playing or working, use sunscreen. That's big. Just throw a little bit on. You when you go to Rite Aid or when you go to whatever drugstore you go to, grab a little bit, put it on you, man. These are like, to me, Phil. These are some of the smallest preventative measurements that that take 5 to 10 minutes and just small little changes that can make such an improvement on your health. You know what I mean? Just like you said, like, okay, I'm
Right,
going out to the club, I'm going out to the bar, I'm gonna have two drinks, whatever. I'm gonna drink some water in between them. I might smoke a cigar, whatever it might. But I'm, once a week or once a month, whatever it may be. But the gluttony and just pouring it on, that's the problem. But if you can just have a little bit of, be conscious of what you're doing, and these small changes can make such a dramatic difference in your health. It's kind of overwhelming just to read this one you just hit me with 562,000 cancer deaths, man. And you mean to tell me all this stuff can, they stress that it can be prevented. I'm like, wow, gosh, man. We like making
yeah,
a
just like you said,
hospital. Go ahead.
making those small adjustments. You
Yeah.
know, uh, and like we said before, things in moderation. So we're not saying you can't drink, you can't smoke, but count, bring it down some. You have to go, 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, trying to smoke uh 5 blunts at one time or whatever the case may be. But you know, uh alcohol I think is the biggest problem.
Yeah, man.
People, they out with their friends and they trying to see who can hold the most liquor and do, and it's not that serious. Like Cook said, have two drinks, have some water, after, or whatever, and
Right.
just it's about all about making right choices at the end of the day.
Right.
That's all I
Right.
got.
Yeah. That's enough, brother. That's definitely enough. Go ahead, take the next one.
The next one is un, unintentional injuries. These are the third biggest health issues for men and include car related injuries, falls, fire injuries, firework injuries, impaired driving, and water related injuries. Unintentional injury and violence prevention points out that unintentional injuries happen randomly. They have risk and protective factors that make them preventable. Furthermore, delaying treatment for unintentional injuries such as concussion from a fall or fire or alcohol abuse that factors into impaired driving can lead to other health complications, including disability and cirrhosis.
Hmm. Hmm. That's huge, man. And with that being said, like the unintentional things can be, a lot of times I see the unintentional stuff. I I ain't even gonna tell you a story of a friend of mine, but a lot of times I see the unintentional stuff comes from you being impaired, drinking, and now you macho man. Now you start doing something stupid and you hurt yourself. I had a friend, get drunk one night. He was in Columbus and it was icy. It fell and hurt his knee real bad, and tore his knee up, tore his ACL because of that, and was drunk. So the slip and falls and all these things like that, the impaired, in vision, when you put something up for the wife and you fall, and the first thing that she says, let's go to the hospital. Oh no, I'll put some ice on it. I'll be all right. And you walk around 2 or 3 days at home with this daggone messed up arm or shoulder, not saying nothing, and then okay, you finally go to the doctor and they go, you dislocated your shoulder. You should have got here 2 or 3 days ago, and now they got to go in and do this and that because you got scar tissue built up and everything else. And ego, ego is the biggest thing with that. So and these things can be prevented. A lot of things can be prevented. So that's huge, man. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, definitely. Those accidents and us as men, you said before, I guess it's just we just don't like going to the hospital. I guess it's white coat syndrome or something to the effect of that.
I don't think nobody likes
Um,
going. I don't think nobody likes going.
well, I mean, of course not, but you know, like you said, women they understand the point to going, and that's what we got to get the men to understand is the reasoning for going, the importance of going, and especially in these situations like these unintentional injuries, you trip over the kids' toys, and hurt your shoulder or something like that. You're not supposed to walk around and go to work for 4 or 5 days. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, I need to go to the hospital. Like you should have went 4 or 5 days ago and got it checked out, and you probably would have just been in the and called it a day. To have surgery and do this and that, and it's I don't. I
Yeah,
mean, I,
but
I
Phil,
guess
how
I
many
don't
times?
understand it because, like you said, we
Go ahead, man. That's my dog bark.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, how many times have we heard stories like this, Phil? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know you heard a million of them, and I have also. So it's crazy how many times we've heard of these same scenarios. Man, I heard this, and I didn't go nowhere for a couple days, a week, or whatever. Come to find out, I broke my leg. I tore my this. I dislocated my back. I threw my shoulder. We've heard these stories. I've heard these stories all my life. I keep it real. I've heard these stories all my life.
I got a story for you, a personal story of doing that. I've mentioned this before. I broke my meniscus, I tore my meniscus in 2018 at the transplant. Came home, was hurting for about 4 or 5 days, and the pain went away. So I thought everything was good. It was also my first year in college, and my first year in track in 2019. About midway through the season, I found out, well, my knee started hurting again. Doing certain workouts and stuff like that, and so the our athletic had a doctor come from a hospital to check out everybody that was injured, and found out that's how I found out that my meniscus was torn. I had a torn meniscus
Mm.
for 9 months almost, with
Wow.
fluid up in my knee and everything. Didn't know it because I was too stubborn to go to the hospital, at that time, and and was still stubborn. I mean, I was halfway stubborn, halfway not, because I did decide to have the surgery, but what I didn't want to do was have it when they suggested it to me, because I was waiting on football because they said if I had it before football season, I wouldn't be able to play. And I said, we're gonna have to wait on that because I'm not missing the season. So uh, I went through the season, and but the good thing about that one specific incident was that it got me out of trouble to a degree. In another incident, I broke my hand during the season. My fifth
Mm.
metacarpal in my right hand swole up, looked like I had about 15 ace bandages around my hand. I
Mm.
mean, it was out there, and so I had to go, and when it happened, I went right after the situation happened. As opposed to going home, waiting 2 3 days, see if it go down, try to put some ice on it, and that's what we gotta stop. We gotta stop when we have injuries like that, where you see some swelling going on, or it's some real bad aching going on. Just go to the hospital. Just go to the hospital. 9 times out of 10, what's gonna happen? X-ray, pain medication, and a wrap, or a bandage, or some kind of pad or something like that, for whatever reason that you're there for, and then pain medication for afterwards. That's all that's gonna happen, unless it's something bad. Now, if it's something bad, then of course they'll suggest surgery and everything like that, and put everything else in place. But when it's not that bad, it's an in and out process. The majority of it is you waiting just to get seen by the doctor when you're in
Yeah.
the emergency room.
Mm.
That's what takes the longest, is waiting for you to get seen. So just go ahead, man, and just bite the bullet, and go to the hospital when you have issues. Whether it's is uh, you got pain somewhere, or something's going on that you're not too, you just like, this don't seem right. Just make the appointment. You go see personal physician. Make an appointment. You don't have to necessarily go to the emergency room or urgent care. You can make an
I think
appointment if you could find one sooner than later. So
I think the challenge with when it comes down to men, I really believe it's our ego, and we feel that when we got to go to the hospital, it's a sign of weakness. I really believe that. I really believe that from all the life I've been living and what I've been seeing, injuries and when it comes to men, it seems like the hesitation more than anything to go to the doctor, go to a hospital and stuff is the ego thinking they're weak and you need help. And again, when it comes to men, we don't want to ever be vulnerable. We don't ever want to show any form of weakness. So therefore, we rather toughen it out. I tough it out. I will walk with this broke, compound fracture in my leg, but I'm tough. I ain't going to the doctor. They help me out and nothing like that. So that's where I think all this stems from.
right.
Like, so that's what I truly, truly believe, man. But I want to read this next one. It's called, we talk about stroke, which again, heart disease and things like that. So, heart disease and stroke share common risk factors, including a sedentary lifestyle, overweight or obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking. Conditions such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol don't have visible symptoms, just like kidney disease. Sometimes it doesn't have visible symptoms. sometimes. So, and need to be diagnosed by a doctor. Again, reinforcing the importance of regular checkups. Sometimes these health issues can be treated by changing your diet and getting more exercise. And we're not, like Phil said, he's not telling you to do, go to the gym as soon as you get there lifting 300 pounds and nothing like that. We know you ain't going to do that anyway. But like they say, with this stroke and heart problems and things like that, regular checkups and just a little bit of exercise. They're saying this again, more exercise, which your doctor can advise you on and during your visit. In other circumstances, to control the problem, you may need a drug that can only get prescribed. You can only get prescription from a doctor. So again, it goes back to self care. It goes back to what we started from the beginning. Phil talking about getting a little bit of exercise. Phil's talking about watch your nutrition. He said it in the best way you could. You don't have to go crazy. We're not telling you can't have alcohol. We're not telling you can't smoke a little bit if that's what you want to do. But again, in moderation, all these things we're talking about can be prevented and can be controlled. And again, I have to say it has to be some self care in there. It can't just be all one way. And the self care could be like, it's Saturday, I'm gonna eat a little bit, but the next day I'm getting back on my nutrition program. Monday, I'm gonna get a little exercise. I'm gonna go walking. I might do some push-ups at home. Might do some stretching. All these small little things make such a big difference, man. And that's all we're talking about. We're just really going with the basics. We're not here, going in detail like, okay, you got to go work out like this. You got to do this and this and that. Nah, we're talking about 20 to 20 minutes out of your time in a day. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to make that change. You can do. There are a billion exercises that you can do in the comfort of your own home.
Right.
Like you said, 15, 20 minutes, knock it out, and go and do what you got to do, whether it's work or whatever it is that you got to do during the day. It's not going to take that much time out of your day to get some good exercise in. Make a nice comfortable meal. That's low in cholesterol, low in fat, low in salt. You know those things. And what's crazy is that if you notice, the further we get down this list, the more things get added that they're saying that should be changed for each of these things. And so, like, you just got done reading the stroke one, and this one has, you know, sedentary lifestyle, overweight or obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, smoking. It seems like that list gets longer the more we go, the further we go down the list.
But
And
what they say though. I mean, you're exactly right. But let me just say this. But it goes back to when it talks about the preventative things. It states back to what you said earlier: nutrition. Being mindful of how much alcohol and smoking you do. Getting a little bit of exercise. All these things can be prevented with just those small little things we're talking about. We're talking about 15, 20 minutes of adjustment to a day in your life. And so I feel, again, like I said earlier, those small little self care mechanisms that you can do for yourself can make a world of difference in your health. Go ahead, Aaron. I just wanted to state that, but go ahead.
but the crazy part about it is that it is so many men who don't want to make that change. And like you say, it takes 15, 20 minutes out of your day, 2, 3 times a week. It's you have to care for your doctor or your spouse or your kids or anybody else you need to care about you as well. You
Yes.
have to be that one person in line when it comes to your health.
Yep.
You have to yourself before you expect somebody else to take care of you. You know, if you're
Right.
not making those changes, why should somebody else stop doing what they doing to come take care of you? You're not even doing to take care of yourself. So I mean that's all I gotta say on that.
I agree with you. And you know what? A lot of times, I work with men all the time with health and things like that. And it gets to a point where I had to tell them, man, won't you do it? Your reasoning could be for your family, could be for your kids, can be for your wife, can be, you want to be here for them. Don't leave, a burden, leaving them with the burden of taking care of yourself when some of these things can be prevented. If you don't want to do it for yourself, find a reason that you do want to do it. I want to do it for my daughter. I want to do it for my son. I want to do it for my wife. I want them to, I want to set a good example. There can be all kinds of reasons, but sometimes men feel we're not worthy to have. Yeah, sometimes we feel like we ain't even worthy to have a good life. You feel what I'm saying, Phil? We feel like, we're feel like I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes that we're not deserving to have a good life, and we are deserving to have a good life.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, I want to give us a small example, man, of just taking the steps to get to where you need to be health wise. Uh, Good friend of mine, that his name is Howard. He wasn't overweight, but he was a pretty nice sized fellow. Uh, he took it upon himself to make that change. Started going walk, started running, started growing his own vegetables in his backyard in his garden. So he did the two things that we just said: physical activity and changing nutrition. And I
Big.
mean,
Mhm.
if you look at him now compared, man, you'd be like, "Who's this dude?
Yeah.
Who's this fella right here? I don't know who this dude is." Like I think he just ran a marathon or something like that, or getting ready to run a marathon. So he a change in a big way. And the thing about Howard is that he has it's kind of like his own business where he does like barbecue or things like that. But he has ways vegan style as well as
Mhm.
style for people who eat meat and things of that nature like that. You know, so he does it both. Um, and so that's probably the biggest thing that I can say about him is him. He's making that change. Like you said, we ain't telling you to have no flavor and no salt, but it's about moderation.
Yeah.
Bring it down a little bit. You know, to you know, food as soon as you come out the oven or out the skillet or whatever like that. Taste it first. See what it tastes like first. With not so much salt on it. So it. I don't know how else to stress this honestly. Um, it's just taking the right steps to live right.
Right.
So
Right. It goes back to every time you and I look at some of these statistics. I can't help to be blown away by how easy it sounds like it can be to make these small little changes and just how big these changes make. So let me ask you this though. When we know the physical changes of just by you walking, just by you being mindful of your nutrition, um, being mindful of how much alcohol and smoking you do you think the culprit could be mental health while we don't see the big changes when and I'm talking about small changes that make big impact. Do you think since we don't see these things happening and you and I know how easy it is, you stress to men because I know you talk to men just like I do, and we talk about these things all the time and we don't see it happening, could it be a mental health where it's a mental block? That's what I'm asking. What's your thoughts on that?
I really never thought about that, but that makes sense. For mental health to be in play in this situation. Um, I don't.
I mean, Phil, look, it's just,
That's something that I think I.
and it's, is it depression? I'm asking these questions because you know as well as I do. You come from an athletic background. I come from an athletic background, and there's a lot of men that come from athletic backgrounds, and there's some that who haven't. But the point I'm making is this: these small changes, which create these major impacts in a good way for your health, can be done with a flip of a switch, but we're not seeing them flip that switch. So the barrier has to be mental. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like something's holding them back, whether it's
I,
depression. Go ahead. Go
I think what the main thing is the way that men grow up. They watch their father, take on certain things, and they're the ones who didn't want to go to the hospital, so they feel like that's the way that they have to live as well. And kids watch and see everything. So, you from newborn to the age of 18, 19, 20, whenever you get out the house and you don't watch your dad do the same things you do, kind of embedded into your head that, a man is just supposed to take it and keep on pushing. We need to go to the hospital and we just roll with the punches and keep on going. And that's not the right way to live.
Could it be something like where, I mean, I get what you're saying, but there's, when we look at the household now, a lot of young men are being raised just by their moms now, and they're seeing their mom go to the doctor, but yet and still, I don't see the moms even, stating that their sons need to go to the hospital. I mean, go to the doctor and things like that, and so where is that void? Because lot of young boys, excuse me for coughing and stuff like that. I'm just getting over a little bug I just had, so bear with me. But a lot of boys don't even, see their have that male role model in the house. They just see their mom, and they see their mom go to the doctor quite often. And I still don't see the moms even stressing that the boys, when they get a certain age, are taking them to the doctors for, a checkup and things like that. How many single moms out here? I wonder what the statistics are. What the single moms taking their boys to the doctor?
I would bet actually very low, except
I
the ones
agree.
that know the taking your child to the hospital. And the reason why that is because most single moms will do this. Uh, 4 year old, 5-year old will fall. I'll get up. You're all right. Scraped his knee. He ain't nothing wrong with him. You're all right. And it just trickles down in age, and so it never gets addressed to how important it is to go to the hospital, even for a regular checkup, going in for some blood tests, talk to your doctor, tell them if anything's going wrong or anything you notice is changing or anything like that. So I would bet that percentage is very low.
Right. Right. And I agree with you on that. I know it's very, very low, but another thing we're going to talk about on this barbershop talk is we're going to talk about the the mental health of men too. We can't just talk about the physical aspects of it. We have to address what's going on with us mentally. A lot of times men suffer in silence. We go through some things, go through breakups. You know, that's crazy. I remember, when I was dating, I'm married now, but when I was dating a long time ago, and everybody get their heart broken, stuff like that. I remember getting my heart broken. I didn't even have nobody to talk to. I didn't want to talk to my friends, and then because I it showed weakness. So, but one thing women do when they get a heartbreak, they tell all their girls. They get on the phone.
Right.
Oh,
Every
he broke
last
my
one of them.
right, right. He
Yep.
broke my heart. he did this, he did that, and they all come to the rescue and confide with her and everything. But what I look like telling my boys, man, I got my heart broke. They'd be like, man, what? And so, with that being said, all my boys, I don't care who you are. If you're a man and you like, you've been in a relationship, you're gonna get your heart broke. I don't care who you are. But
Yeah,
I seen. But the point I'm making is we handle our stuff a little different. We handle ours more macho. We might be like, oh man, forget that girl, this, but still be hurting inside and everything else. You know what I'm saying? But we don't, and I'm not talking about men being emotional or nothing like that, but again, we don't have that outlet. And that's why I feel the mental part of what's going on is going to be huge. And that's why we want to give you that outlet with our barbershop talk. We want to be that outlet where we can talk about your health. You know, we're not mental doctors or nothing like that, but just sometimes you just getting it off your chest makes you feel a lot better. You know what I'm talking about, Phil? Just getting it off your chest. When that whatever it may be weighing on you, if you could just get it off your chest, you feel so much more better.
definitely, man. I agree. Just be able to get that load off. When you gotta walk around and bear, with it and take it, just
Suffer in
it
silence.
sits differently with you. Right, you suffer
Yes,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
That's why we're going. Hopefully, we can get in touch with some, mental health practitioners, and I would like to get a male's perspective on this. And no offense to women, we love you guys, but we need men talking to men on this one. We need men to address what's going on with other men, and so hopefully we can get some type of professional on that mental health level, and he's a male and can help us come to grips with some of these things. Why men die early, why we are more stressed out, why we have all these challenges, why we suffer in silence, why we will bury our pain in that bottle. We'll bury our pain in some food. We'll bury our pain, but we won't, stress it out. We won't get healthy health, I'll say.
Yeah, we need to learn to get out uh, the zone of, and excuse my language, but feeling like a bitch.
I agree. I agree.
Because of you know you trying to talk to your homie to let out some maybe some anger, frustration, or whatever like that. And that's the thing that you said as a mental health issues when you've had to hold in so much for so long, you
Yeah.
just mentally you just break.
Yeah.
You break and you lose it, and you go off and you do something stupid. You go rob a store, or break into somebody's house or car or something like that, because now you don't know mentally where you are,
That's
because
it.
you've dealt with so much and you've had so much build up from here all the way up to the top of your head. And it gets overwhelming at times. So
Yep.
uh but yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. We need to have a male's perspective in the mental illness department for sure. Come on and speak to the men about mental illness and how to take care of themselves mentally.
And I'm not gonna call it mental health because that's a stigma that we none of us want to address. Let's just say brain health. That's what I want to call it now. Because sometimes when we say mental health, and oh man, you need to go see somebody because your mental health is wrong. It's like a negative connotation. So I just say brain health. We got to get our men. We have to get our brain healthier. Let's say that. That's how I'm gonna address that. I don't ever want to say mental health anymore. I want to say let's get our brains healthy. How about that? That sounds a lot better, and it's more people can understand it because soon as you look at it the other way, it kind of has a negative connotation. So I'm just gonna say brain health. But You have anything else, man? I'm happy with this. I think every Wednesday we're going to be doing this. We're going to be bringing some great information to everybody. We definitely like to have your questions. We definitely like to have chime in and things like that, and let us know what you would like us to talk about. What's on your mind as a man, and hopefully we can address these things and bring some resolve to you.
Yeah, and just because we're saying that we're speaking directly to men doesn't mean that the show is just for men. Especially those women who might take care of men who may not want to take that step and do the research on their own or whatever. And you may be watching and want to get some information on something for a specific male in your family or in your life or whatever like that, and we may be able to get that for you. So definitely, drop your questions in the comment section, if you're watching live or you're watching a replay, and we'll, like I said before, we'll definitely address it either in the comment section with a reply or on our next show. um, but definitely a good show, man. I know
Yeah,
it was a little bit
definitely.
longer than we expected, but it was worth it, and it was
Yes, it was
definitely
definitely
needed.
worth
So
it. Right. Yeah, it was definitely worth it. Definitely needed. You're exactly right. That's crazy, Phil. I told Phil before we even jumped on, man, this will be about half an hour. But what happens with Phil and I when you have two people who are really passionate about wanting to address these challenges that men have, and we're passionate about helping people. Sometimes the show goes over, and I have no problem with it because it was a great show, a great prelude to what's going to be coming on Barbershop Talk.
definitely. Definitely want to remind you guys that we have our diabetes and blood pressure conference coming up June 30th. Collaboration between myself, Mr. Cook, and Jonathan Trailer. We're
Kidney
gonna have
care
some
coach.
great kidney care coaches, and we're gonna have some great presenters coming on and delivering some information on blood pressure as well as diabetes. So we definitely want to see you guys there on June 30th, and believe that's about it. So we'll see you guys next Sunday. We probably won't do barbershop talk this Wednesday. It'll more than likely be next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that. But definitely if you hit the notification bell on our YouTube page, you'll get that notification when it gets put up that we're going to be doing it. Definitely subscribe as well, and we appreciate your support. Have a great night.
All right, guys. Thank you. Peace.